Hey guys, welcome back. So one of the first things I want to address on the Project Civic is the heater controls on it. Now, most everybody knows when you got your heat, air conditioning on, whatever, you push these buttons and it will change from your defrost, your vents, down to the floor, so on and so forth. Mine is stuck on the vents. All 4 vents, full blast all the time. The blower works, air conditioning does work, it goes from hot to cold, everything else works, but this does not work. Looked around online, looked at some forums, turns out there is a mode control motor underneath the dash that controls the flap in there. Whenever you push one of these buttons, it would rotate to adjust the flap where it needs to be. Mine does not currently work, and I will show you what it's actually supposed to do. So underneath the dash here is this motor right here. This, if you see this little white thing right here, this actually controls where the flap on the climate control box is for your defrost or something like that. I ordered a new piece, new motor and everything. I will plug it in and I will show you what it's supposed to do when you push your buttons. So I got the new one plugged in, and if you see right now, I have it set to the vent, all 4 main vents on. If you push it to something else, so basically what happens is you have a little nub on the side of that flap which sets inside this groove right here, and as it turns it just moves along it and closes and opens different flaps for what it needs to be. My original one back in there, you see, does not work, so I'm gonna have to get that up out of there and replace it with this new one. I just got it plugged in right now, making sure that that was the original problem, and it seems that is the problem. So let me get that up out of there and I'll be right back with the comparison. Okay, so I finally got it to where I could finally get to most of the bolts. So a couple things has to happen here. You have to remove the whole glove compartment. I removed the metal bracket down here just to make it easier for me to get to. There is a short tube that comes out of the side of the HVAC box that comes down for your footwell. That had to be removed, which was very tedious. You never realize how old you've gotten until you're laying on your back underneath the dash. So I have to get in here and try to get, there is 2 bolts down here, one there, one back there, and there is one up on the top there. You can barely see that silver up beside the tip of my finger. I have to get those out, and then hopefully that whole thing will come out. Okay, and here we go. So obviously you can tell the difference, old versus new. This one does not move anymore. This one, obviously new. So I'm gonna plug this in just to see if you can look back in there, you see the little nubs that sit inside of these grooves. You just gotta, I made sure I had it on the same exact setting when I turned off the car. So I'm gonna plug that in to see if it works without being under a load. I don't think it does, but just in case, I'll try it. Nope, so as you see, change the button. Nothing. So if I swap out this one for this one, plug that in on the side there. Hold on, let me plug this in, I'll be right back. Okay, plugged in, so if I push the button here, push another one, let's go and put on defrost. Go back to vents. Perfect, so I'm gonna get this bolted back up in there. Once you get the stuff out of the way, it's actually not a hard job to do. It's just getting your hands up in there to get that top screw, but once you get in there, it's pretty easy. So I'll get this back in there, and before we put everything back together, we will test the blower and everything, make sure it actually works. Okay, it is finally back in there all together, all bolted up, tightened down, plugged in. We're gonna give it a test real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the blower on, very low. So it's on vents. Let's go to vents and floor. Oh, it's moving. On the floor only. Floor and defrost. Defrost. Back to vent only. Perfect. Okay, so that is working. That is one thing fixed out of this whole thing so far. Before I put everything back together, I'm going to go ahead and change the cabin air filter. This one is right here in the dash. So you push a clip on each side, which I've already done. So I'm going to slide that out and see what the original one that was in here looked like. Oh, nasty. I'm going to change it. Turn that blower off. So there's the old filter. You just lift it up out of there. And that is blocking stuff coming from outside or in the car. I mean, that looks like a French fry, some foam pieces, a whole bunch of crud. So I went to O'Reilly's, got a micro guard replacement cabin air filter. If you notice, airflow says going this way, so make sure that's lined up with the intake from the blower motor. Let me get this unwrapped and we'll get that put back in there. Okay, there we go. It's pretty simple. You just slide it in there, make sure the airflow is going the right way. Mine going up. So then you just slide it back in the crevice. And here, click. There you go. Okay, and this is maintenance that some people just forget about. Like, they forget that this is under here. I've had a few cars where the HVAC system wasn't really pulling any air, and I changed that, and it's a world of difference. And you know, that's filtering out your cabin air, any air coming from outside. That's keeping it as clean as possible for you. I mean, that's something you need not to forget. So let me get this all put back together and we'll finish this project up for today. Okay, everything is done back together. Can't even tell I was in there. Everything's working perfectly the way it should be. Great, one thing left to do. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today for first repair on the Civic project. Wasn't a hard job, about 45 minutes, but it was doable and that's fixed, and I'm ecstatic about that because here in the Hocking Hills, it's a little chilly this time of year, and this car will burn you out if it's just on the vents, and defrosting the windshield is a hassle when you just got vents and you don't have the defrost available. For now, that's fixed. I think the next project I'll have on this is the headlight housings. Those will get swapped out, and then we're gonna do some routine maintenance, oil change, oil filter, air filter, stuff like that. So stay tuned.